Hey guys, welcome back to another video with InfoSec Pat. In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing IT security training or IT security awareness training, cybersecurity awareness training, whatever you want to call it. I just want to walk through a couple of steps, and I have a slide that I've used in the past. I tweaked it a little bit to make it more friendly for the audience to understand what security awareness training is and what the importance of it is. So if you guys are new to the channel, like always, please like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell so you get some notifications and you're well aware of the new videos that come out. So let's jump into the video, shall we? Let's go. Alright guys, so as you see here on my screen, we have IT security training or IT security awareness training. So I have a PowerPoint presentation that I want to show you guys just to give you guys a little insight of what this is and all that good stuff. And this is pretty much training for a client, right? For an end user. So say for example, you're a cybersecurity professional in an organization that you want to give this training to others. And you can take some ideas from this, and I'm just going to walk through. I wanted to talk about some points before we actually get started with the slides. I want to talk about what is the importance of security awareness training, right? Like you may ask yourself, why is this so important? From my point of view, I think it's security awareness training is important because it helps minimize risk, preventing lost data. For example, PII, IP, money, and just like for an example, maybe let's see, let me think what else. Sorry, I just lost a train of thought. So like repetition, that's what I meant to say. Sorry. So another thing that it can be really effective, security awareness training can be effective because it can address different problems like cybersecurity mistakes. Maybe an employee may leave a password under their keyboard. Maybe they're not understanding how to use email, going on the internet and giving information about the company away without even, realizing it. And maybe in the physical world, maybe for example, if I'm in the parking lot, right, and I just tailgate and get into the organization or get into the door, and maybe I can look at documents and, different kinds of setups, how your network is set up, just so many different things. And this is why it's super important in my opinion. Everyone's opinion can be different, but this is just coming from me, right? So, what is security awareness training, right? Obviously it awares and it helps the employees or users to understand, right, different risks to identify potential attacks, right? These are super, super important because if you're not aware of this, you can be in big trouble, right? They can encounter a phishing email that we're going to go through with this training. We can, misuse the web, meaning the internet. So, just to avoid risk. That's pretty much the main thing of security awareness training is all about, right? So I wrote down on the side, what I think of 5 elements of the cybersecurity awareness training should be, So I think education on the different types of attacks, right? Different kinds of threats, email, internet, social media, and privacy policies. I think that's super important. Secure password policies combined with MFA or multi-factor authentication, right? Because sometimes, if you don't have that MFA enabled, someone can find a password to your email, log into O365 and get access to your stuff, And there's, I think regular vulnerability scanning, right? Understand what vulnerabilities are out there on your network or on your systems, right? So these are some, key factors that I think that are some good elements to start with, all right? So enough with that jazz. We went on for about 2 or 3 minutes now. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of this document, okay? So what is the agenda? Like I said, IT security, why? Social engineering, phishing, ransomware, passwords, summary, and then Q&A. Obviously, this is a video, So the Q&A you can throw in the comments below, and if you have any questions, and I'll answer it. Okay, so why IT security, right? Why do you think it's so important? This is, like I said, I made some modifications before this video so we can simplify it, right? Protect privacy, data integrity, protect our identity, and information, and whoever we are, we want to protect that, right? Rate the collective awareness, right? Our collective awareness is super important to rise upon. Everyone's responsible, right? So pretty much, what does that mean? So say, for example, we have a team, maybe it's a small company, a medium-sized company. Everyone in that organization, including IT, security, etc., is responsible for those IT security assets, right? To make sure we don't get, compromised and we minimize the risk. Like it says down here, together we can create more secure work environments. So it's collaborative, right? We have to collaborate and make sure our networks are secure, because the bad guys are always wanting to compromise something, get into your network, maybe ransomware. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so social engineering. Do you know what social engineering is? You may not. There's so many different ways to social engineer, but these are 3 basic types of tactics. We can do in person. Like I said, meet and greet in the smoking area. I don't smoke, but I can say, hey guys, how are you? How's the company doing this year? What is the revenue? What are some new clients that you took upon? Just trying to get information and try to, the human element is the weakest link in the chain. Phone calls, digital, these are, different kinds of tactics that we can utilize for social engineering. All right, so we have social engineering here. So we're going to talk about techniques used by hackers, okay, with trickery, influencing. So we have, let's see. Okay, let me go back. All right, so we have here, so to exploit your weaknesses, right? We can do phishing attack. So what is a phishing attack? That's saying I want to take an email with maybe a payload, maybe some kind of malware that I can phish information, or maybe just a logon page that I'm trying to phish credentials, right? And now I can put up this website. Here we go. This website is up. It's a form page that maybe looks like something that company uses, and then ask the users to authenticate. Maybe we can try to clone a site or something like that, and we can just throw something up there on the interwebs. And then ransomware. Ransomware is when we pretty much a hacker or a malicious adversary person that sends over a piece of software, malware, that a user can click and can get in there through email as well. That's why this whole thing is important. And then that user maybe is not aware of that link, what they're clicking on. They click on it, they execute, and then the malware or ransomware gets in, encrypts your files, and then the only way you can decrypt those files is if you pay the ransom. Okay? So, and let's see, the hackers see us as a puppet on a string. That's pretty much what it is. Okay, now I have to do what the hacker says because I'm not going to get my data back. Obviously, there's ways to mitigate this if having good backups, having a good disaster recovery plan in place. There's alternate, but this is pretty much talking about security awareness training. So let's talk about phishing. It's not phishing on the boat. It's not phishing off the side of the pier. It's trying to phish information that we're trying to gather as a pen tester or as a hacker, as a malicious person, if you say that. So this is pretty much the steps. You receive an email asking you to update your account details. Say, for example, we have a bank form. It says, okay, Mr. User or Miss User or User, please update your bank credentials or bank information, and then the user puts their username and password in the scam page, and then the attacker collects your information. The attacker acquires more account details and accesses your resources in your account, and then they steal your data. So this is pretty much in a nutshell, right? It's like I said, I simplified it just so it can be easy to understand and digest. So hopefully this is informative for you guys. All right, so this is a make-believe email from PayPal. Your transaction has been declined. So from, it says intl.paypal.com. So the real email is that, what is it? Well, whatever it is, at PayPal.com or whatever. Obviously, this is a phishing email. This is not from PayPal, and it can be to whoever. Like, obviously, this is blanked out because this is someone's real email. And then we can see, okay, dear Mr. Customer, we wanted to let you know that PayPal account, blah, blah, blah. And then they click on the link to remove your limitation. And then meanwhile, they're giving their credentials away. This is funny. I put this PayPal because my PayPal actually got hacked, and this is what led me into this field. If you guys have watched any interviews, how I got into the cybersecurity space, I used to be a big sneakerhead, sell sneakers on eBay, and I had my PayPal hacked. So I was one of these victims. I clicked on a link, I put my credentials in, and whoever took about $900 from me, and that was the beginning of my story into this world, because I wanted to try to protect people from making the same mistake that I did. Okay. So as you see here, it's highlighted there. And then the link is that bit.ly, right? So that's really, if you hover over that link, it's not to PayPal. That's why you have to understand, not just click on a link. Maybe you can hover over it and learn about where that link is going to. You can put it into a sandbox environment, something like URL scan, to see if it's legit before you actually inputting any data, right? Or you can scan the URL as well, like with VirusTotal or something like that. Okay, so the scam link, incorrect domain, no HTTPS, okay? So no padlock, meaning that it's HTTP, it's plain text, there's no security on this page, and this is a no-no. Run away, okay? So a legitimate link looks more like this. It's green, this is running an Internet Explorer, so it's green, it has HTTPS, so it's using encryption and all that good stuff. So ransomware, the day the attack is stopped. So the day the attack stops, okay, so ransomware, this is what I was saying before. So now the computer is locked. Unless you pay up, you're not going to get your data back. Pretty much it's holding your data for ransom. They kidnap your data, or they data nap your data. So a malicious code is created, right? The user's target through email or attachment. Maybe they can, do some macros. You can, just tailor up an email. Like I said before, you can use like social engineering toolkit. There's so many different ways to phish information. I have other videos on my channel, so you can check it out. So learn, it's all for educational purposes to mitigate these problems, right? They encrypt your files. So the only way you can decrypt it, you can pay through Bitcoin. Obviously Bitcoin, because it's untraceable currency, and the hackers don't want to be traced, right? So Bitcoin payment is made, and then even though you pay for that to be decrypted, it's not guaranteed. I had a few companies that I know that got ransomware. Some of them did pay. I think I had about a half a dozen. Some of them did pay, and some of them did have good backup. So they just said they ignored it. They restored. Yeah, they probably lost a few hours worth of work, but that's a few hours. Unless it's a massive company and the ransom is, okay, $1 million or whatever. And, if I paid $1 million, or if I restore from even an hour ago, I lost $20 million, right? It all has to make sense to the client or the company. So over 42% of ransomware victims recovered their data. Like that's what I was saying. It's a hit or miss. Okay. So ransomware infected methods. So the way hackers do this, they can, the users can visit unsafe and, fake websites. They can get it through emails or attachments. Malicious links maybe on Facebook, Twitter, Google, etc. Or just create your own and host it on your own server. And then something will look like this. Okay, win a free iPad, click here. So when they click there, they're not going to get a free iPad. They're going to be giving away their money. Okay, so this is an invoice. It looks like a document. So dear support, blah, 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 look at the document. So maybe this has macros in it that has malicious intent, right? So right there's the Word document, the invoice, and finally passwords, right? So never share your passwords with anyone. This might sound very, 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 very obvious, right? There was like this Jimmy Kimmel password, what is your password video? And it's actually really, really funny. And you'll be surprised how naive a lot of people are. You can just have casual conversation saying, hey, Mr. Bill, how are you? You may not say, give me your password, but you get to know him. Okay, Mr. Bill, like, oh, you have 3 kids. What's your kids' names? John, Dick, and Harry. Okay, John, how old is John? What year was he born? Blah, blah, blah. Just to gather some information. And then you say, oh, that's funny because I know a lot of people that use their kid's name and the date of birth for their password. Oh, Mr. Bill, I do that. Oh, so your password might be John, 1990 or something like that. Or John loves baseball because I found out he loves baseball. And he goes, yeah, it's something like that. And now I have an idea of what his passwords may be. All right, so never share your password. So change passwords immediately if discovered someone else is aware of your password. So if anyone ever tries to compromise it, you can go on Have I Been Pwned? So you can see, like, you can put your email, see if your email has ever been leaked or credentials have ever been leaked. There's so many different ways to check that out, but we'll leave that for another day. Change your password frequently. Me personally, I don't really use a password. I use passphrases. So like for an example, I'm just using an example, like, because the harder they are, the harder they're going to be to figure out and hack. So say, for example, if my old password used to be, I don't know, I'm just going to make something up, baseball 1990, baseball 1990. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to get smarter. I might say, the LA Dodgers is my favorite team in baseball 1990, right? So now it's something a little better, little more complex, okay? So change it frequently and just maybe try to use a passphrase instead these days. Never write down your password, right? Obviously it seems pretty obvious, but you'll be surprised if, not a lot anymore because people work from home, but before the pandemic, you'll be surprised if you go to a computer, you maybe even look at the monitor, maybe it has a little sticky note, or under their keyboard, they will have their password written down. People are like, oh, it's my work email, it's my work computer, but maybe you're using that same password elsewhere without even realizing it because, we are human and we like to use the same thing. And all right, so before we continue to go down the next bullet, let's go back. So never write your password down. So what you can also do is use a password vault or a password manager like LastPass, SecurePass. There's like different ways to secure your password. So you can use something like that, to avoid writing it down, and it can be encrypted in a vault. Just a little tip. Oh, look, this is what I mean. Avoid using date of birth, pets' names, children name, because like I said, a lot of people do this and it's no bueno, okay? Never use the password for work and your personal accounts. That's another thing what I was just saying, because people use it, they use their same password for their bank account, password, and the same as their logon for their job laptop, or etc. Okay? Try using passphrases, easy to remember. Exactly what I was just saying, right? So using phrases is a lot better than a password. Excuse me. So password memory tests, you can research that. Okay, so my dog has big bricks, blah, blah, blah. So we can use stuff like that, like, okay, this is this password is typically good enough to safeguard sensitive data, right? And this one isn't, because it's only 10, right? So to summarize, we talked about IT security, why is it important, phishing, ransomware, password housekeeping, and if you doubt it, contact your IT services. And I should have put my email there. Did I put my email? No. But you can just hit me up in the comments below if you have any questions about this. This is pretty much an informative video to understand more about the importance of security awareness training. So hopefully it's been informative for you guys, and I really appreciate you guys watching it. Thank you so much, and until next time, take care.